For my ethics class, we was asked to read the book titled Second Chances by Chuck Gallagher. This book is about a man who had everything and anything going for him to have a wonderful life. He had a wife, he had children, he had a huge house, he had an awesome job as an accounting firm, but for some reason this just wasn't enough for him. He seemed to have got in a little over his head, and at any point in his life, when if money was a little tight, he came to the conclusion, hey, I'm an accounting firm. All I have to do is swap a little bit of money out of my job's account. Whenever I get the money back in my hands, I'll insert it back into the account. No harm, no foul, and I'll never get caught. Well, this played out to be true for a while. He was taking the money out, using it for whatever his necessary needs were, putting the money back in, getting away with it. Well, that is ultimately what wound up putting him in prison. This became too easy for him, and it got to the point where he was withdrawing this money out with no intentions of, and he never put it back into the bank's account. This is what wound up getting him caught. Everything in life has a consequence, and with reading this book, that is one of the main points that Chuck tries to get across. I know that everybody in their life will make mistakes, probably not as huge as Chuck's were, but you will always make a mistake, and it is up to you what you take out of it, what you learn from it. My favorite step of Chuck Gallagher's 23 steps into changing his adversity into opportunity was step number 15, which states that our life's purpose isn't a destination, it is a journey fraught with many experiences designed to give us what we ultimately need to succeed in this lifetime. I just think that one sentence, one quote sums up the whole entire idea of this book, that every mistake, every choice we make in our life is trying to lead us to where we're meant to be, where we're supposed to be. And I know hearing that you think, was Chuck's destiny to be put in prison? Well, no, not necessarily, but as I said, it's what you take from it. And I actually found it very awesome when I was doing my research. I came across a couple questions that Chuck had been asked, and one of those questions were, if you could go back in time, would you make the same mistake again? And of course his response was, no one would ever make the same mistake to be put back in prison again. But I would only say yes because of that experience that he had. He was able to write this book. And within writing this book, he has helped millions of people come from bad times in their lives and make the best of it and keep pushing forward, which is exactly what he had to do. Because, not that I know from experience, but you can just imagine that coming out of prison, life is not hard for these guys. They can't find a job. They're just looked at as terrible people. And I could see how that would really get someone down, and how Chuck would have just thought that his life was completely over. But, look at him now. He's wrote a book. He's presenting to people. He is helping change lives. And I just think that overall, that is the main point of this book, that everything has a consequence, and it's just up to you to try and pull the good from a bad situation. No matter how bad the situation, as hard as it will be to believe at that point in time, because you can't imagine that as Chuck was sitting in prison, he thought, man, my life I'm going to end up having a great life. You know that you're not going to think that at that point in time. But using Chuck as an example, it's just so important to remember that your life is not over. Not every choice you make is going to define you. What defines you is what you take from it and how you keep pushing forward. And I just think that that was the main point of this book, is to never give up and always know that your life has a purpose, and it's just up to you to make the best of every situation.